Day. NHL betting preview edition of Pucks Across Borders on Sports Addict Live and Total Apex Sports, brought to you by the one, the only First Round Collectibles. Right now, with our promo code Sports Addict, get 10% off whatever sports card you want in the entire First Round Collectibles store. They have an ongoing sale up to 50% off dozens and dozens of cards. And with our promo code Sports Addict, not only do you get 10% off of regular priced items, but sales items as well. What's your favorite sport? Hockey, football, basketball, baseball, wrestling, boxing, whatever it is, I promise you they have it at firstroundcollectibles.com. Use promo code SportsAddict for 10% off your order. That's the number 1, STRoundcollectibles.com. First Round Collectibles, sports cards for sports fans.
Yeah. Let's go. We just gotta go hard. I go the hardest. I bring the pain. Not what you used to. It's all part of the game. Yeah, I just gotta go hard. I just gotta go hard. Go hard. Go hard. Yeah.
And welcome to this Thursday, I guess, like Halloween edition. I don't know. Do you care about Halloween? I don't really do it. My kid's too young to celebrate it. I don't know. For you all out there, happy Halloween. Happy Thursday. This Thursday edition of the NHL Betting Preview Show, Pucks Across Borders on Sports Addict Live. And as always, Total Apex Sports, brought to you by First Round Collectibles. Wild night in the NHL last night. We will get into all of it. Wild night in the sports world as well. Lots to get into tonight. But first, as always, listen, Andre, I like to consider myself a good friend. You know, none of us are perfect. But throughout the whole playoffs, I've been texting you about the Yankees. Last night, I hope you're not offended. I decided as a sports fan, I just let you alone. Let you feel your pain. How you doing on a Thursday afternoon, bro?
You know, I think I'm just more annoyed and disappointed than anything. I mean, that's who they are. Just sloppy, unnecessarily, no accountability. It's kind of defined the Boone era. So I think that might be the worst part of anything. But just, you know, in sports and in life just in general, right? Sometimes you will get beat. You know, there will be obstacles. You can't overcome them yet. You got to get over the hump. You got to go back to the drawing board, learn some new things, try some new tricks, better yourself, whatever. You will get beat. And that's fine. It hurts, but it's fine. We talked about this in June when the Panthers beat the Rangers. For the most part, they were just a better team. The Rangers' mistakes were because the Panthers were forcing them into them, because the Panthers were better and they were a championship team. The Dodgers were very good. They're great. They deserve to win. This is just an example because it happened last night and it's fresh and it hurts. They're a great team. They deserve to win. They played like champions. What the Yankees did, the example I keep using, it's like playing Mario Kart and you're on the last lap, right? And you're fighting for first and you just drive. You just keep driving into bananas that are in the middle of the road that you could just easily avoid. You do it once,
you
do it twice, you finish in second. And when you finish in second, it's your fault. You know, if you avoid the bananas, maybe you still finish in second, right? Like avoiding them doesn't guarantee that you'll win because there's still someone else really good driving with you. But when you drive into them, you guarantee that you will not finish in first. And the Yankees, I mean, in the series, they did it twice, game 1 and game 5. Last night, they did it 3 times. So and this applies to hockey. We see it in hockey all the time where teams just melt down, collapse, shoot themselves in the foot, don't keep their head screwed on. It happens in life with people. They just immolate, you know? They just bring themselves down.
Self-sabotage.
Do not beat yourself. If you're going to get beat, get beat. Don't drive into the bananas. get hit by a blue shell. That's the lesson for the day. And I'm wearing a Zelda shirt, so my Nintendo analogies are all over the place today.
Yeah, it's
But
hitting hard.
that's my analogy for today. Don't hit the bananas. If you're gonna get beat by a better driver or get beat by a blue shell.
That was profound. I don't know if I'm fired up or just super self-reflective. I don't know. I got a lot of thinking to do after that one. But listen, man, as a sports fan, I'm here for you. I feel your pain. And I think don't hit the bananas is a wonderful, wonderful life motto. I think that anybody, I don't know what age, 19 years or younger will have no idea what that means. Like if I said to a 10-year-old, hey man, don't hit the bananas today, I don't think he'd understand what I was talking about. But you know what? For our age demographic, I love it. I'm here for it. Yeah.
I mean, if these kids haven't played Mario Kart, that's just bad parenting. I mean, once
There's
you're
a
like
lot of bad parents out there, bro.
once you're
Believe
like
me. I'm one of
6
them.
or 7, you had to have played Mario Kart at least once. At any type of Mario Kart, you can start from Super Nintendo. It can be the one on the Switch. Anything between Mario Kart's a must play at least once.
Well, we can take this don't hit the bananas thing right into the recap from last night. The New York Islanders do nothing but hit bananas all the time. They lost again last night, 2-0. And I can't even say that it's like you're playing the Blue Jackets. It's a winnable game. Man, the Blue Jackets, I think, are kind of good. Like, who knows what they'll be in 2, 3, 4 months from now. But right now, they're good. Like, they're a good team. They're scoring goals. They're getting timely goaltending. Like, I'm not saying they're going to be good like in the spring, but right now, this is a good team right now. They beat the Islanders 2-0. The Jets bounced back from their first loss of the season by that game. I watched that game, really good hockey game. They went up, was it 2-0? And then it was 2-2, and then the Jets came up 3-2, something like that. The Red Wings were hanging around that game. And in the third period, the Jets just blew the doors off, ended up scoring 3 goals in the third period, I believe, beating the Red Wings 6-2. The Lightning do exactly what we thought they would do. They beat the Avalanche 5-2 last night. McKinnon and Makar continue their point streak. It's impressive, but hard to keep taking these L's. The Flames are in a bad place right now, man. After starting the season with 5 straight wins, they are now on a 4 or 5 game losing streak. And that game last night, it was a good first period, but they allowed the second goal of the game with 1.6 seconds left in the first period, and that just sunk them. Like that just kind of went haywire from there. I got to give you credit. You called the Kings win last night. I thought Vegas was going to destroy them. You picking up on a trend that, you know what, I got to call myself out here. I didn't even realize was a thing. There's a writer, the Vegas writer for Total Apex, wrote an article last night talking about how this team has not won yet on the road, which completely went by me. I had no idea. And then the Devils beat the final score from that game, by the way, 6-3. If you did not know, the Devils just beat the brakes off the Canucks 6-0. And this Arthur Shelov's thing, man, this has turned from a really good story in the spring to an absolute disaster. Like when he's in the net, if Demko doesn't get healthy, man, I don't know what this team is going to do because he can't be in the net. Like he just can't. Like I didn't see his stats after last night, but going into last night, his save percentage was like 823 or something like that. Like it's a bad place for him right now. So I'm really curious to see how that is moving forward. Andre, out of all of that, what's your takeaway from the NHL last night?
As much as the Flames, their struggles, their 4-game losing streak, won 4-1 in their last 6. That does deserve a mention. I feel like circling back to Vegas and LA is more important, not only because it's like the only game where we disagreed and like it's two good teams, two teams you expect to be in the playoffs at least, but I just think the story, it's something you said yesterday really struck with me, especially after yesterday's game. The Golden Knights might be the best team in the league. Numbers wise, it's supported. They've gotten off to a great start. They have 15 points in 11 games, plus 16 goal differential. You know, PK is looking good. Power play is one of the best in the biz. This is a good team, right? You expect to go far. They obviously have top end talent, assuming they don't hit the long term IR. So it's really puzzling and curious that, you know, it's all at home. They're juggernauts at home. Their average game at home is a win by more than 3 goals. The power plays over 36.5% at home. The PK is 80% at home. They're shooting just under 18% at home, saving just under 92% of shots against. And they go on the road and they're the Islanders. I mean, -7 goal differential.
Well, they scored goals, so let's not get carried away.
That's true. I'm pretty sure they've consistently scored, but
Yeah.
you know, I mean, the PK is down to 62.5%. They're shooting, you know, just over 10.5%. The save percentage dips to 85.4%. I mean, they have 1 point, -7 goal differential. It's a completely different team. And
Yeah.
it just, I mean, that was the worst of their road losses. Take that what you will, but they've allowed 18 goals in 4 road games. Every team they've played has scored at least 4. And they haven't scored more than 3 in any of those. Whereas at home, they're consistently scoring 4, 5, 6, 7, and they scored 8 in their opener. So I don't know what that's about. I don't think that's been a Vegas problem in the past. And obviously, it's only 4 games. There's plenty of time to turn that around. They have 37 more trips, but they could very easily, between their schedule and just their talent, they're a 500 team on the road right now. You're looking at, you know, would they be second to Winnipeg? I'm assuming with the math, but they'd be up there. They'd be undisputed, I would think, best team in the league because you dominate at home like that. You have home playoff series. You have the game 7 in your house. That's how you advance. And by being unable to win on the road at least a decent clip, at least right now, not even looking like a competitive team on the road right now, they might fumble that away, and a dominant home team might not advance as far as they could because suddenly they're playing a game 5 and a game 7 on the road if you're just looking ahead. So it doesn't seem like much 4 games in, struggling on not playing as well on the road. Like those are normal things you can chalk it up to. But at the same time, it starts now. What you want to do in May, in June, it starts now when you're a team that wants to win a championship.
Yeah. Yeah, no, you're 100% right. I gotta say, man, I don't think I realized how stressful this baseball playoffs has been for you. Because today, like, I know it's a hard night last night, but you're loose. You're talking about bananas. You're going off on the like. I didn't realize how much you were kind of losing yourself in the playoff race, and it's just good to have. It's just good. You just feel fresh. I don't know what it is, man.
You need to look at all those Yankee scores, like starting with Royals game 1 to yesterday, and the only game that wasn't close was Tuesday's.
It was the other
Then,
night.
it was a 2-run game until the 8th. Like,
yeah,
they were just win or lose. It was stressful.
I love it. I love it. Yeah, I mean, listen, man. For me, there's a couple things I think. You know, Mata did play for Utah last night. We were speculating yesterday whether or not he would after being traded from Detroit. He did play last night. Not overly noticeable, but they beat the Flames and they beat them badly. They looked pretty good out there. They won 5-1. I thought that was what was cool about that. And this isn't necessarily from last night, just another takeaway from that trade was, say what you want about Mata as a player. I thought, like, if you remember, Utah, formerly Arizona, used to be the place where contracts went to die. That's what they were known for. From, I'm pretty sure Chris Pronger, like, just stopped getting paid by the Arizona Coyotes, like, recently. I'm pretty sure. Zach Cassian, the list is long. Like, I don't even remember everybody. So many people would get traded there when their careers were over because they're like, hey, we need to hit the floor, so give us your contracts. And I thought it's really cool, like, internally, who knows what their expectations are of the team. But when you make a trade like that, you basically say, listen, we know we lost 2 key guys for the season, but we're not rolling over. We're going to do what we can, like, to help you guys, be competitive. I thought that was really cool. Big win for them last night. The Avalanche, one thing we haven't talked about a lot on this show is, the goaltending's been, worrisome to say the least. Everybody is on the IR right now or in players' assistance. Like, they might get, what I heard this morning was Lehkonen could be back by next Tuesday, which would be huge. But everybody is hurt for that team right now. So that's really tough. To me, it's going to go back, and I won't spend too long on this because I already kind of talked about it in the opening. That goaltending situation for Vancouver. Like, I don't think Vancouver overachieved last year, but I think that you're not going to get better than that. You might get that same team. You'll probably be a little bit worse than that, but even if you're a little bit worse than that, that's still top 3 in the division. Like, you're not going to stumble all the way down to a wild card team, are you? I think Vancouver's a good team, but the 2 things that they have to figure out, and I can't, every night is the same. That goaltending, what's the kid's name again? I always forget it.
Yeah, it's Lehkonen. It's Kevin Lehkonen, right?
Yeah. He's played phenomenal. He's been really good. When he's in net, he's basically the Shelovs from last year. But when Shelovs is in net, it's a disaster every time. And they have to figure that out at some point here soon. The other thing is Pettersson, man. He, like, you watch these games, he is invisible. Since getting paid that contract in March of last year, he has scored 2 goals, 5-on-5. 2. And that includes the playoffs, I think. Regardless, the playoffs, he wasn't that good either. They made it to Game 7 of the semifinals in spite of Pettersson. And so far, good start to the season, right? They're not, it's fine. They've lost some, some stinkers, I guess, but they're still, 4-2-3. They got 11 points. They're fine. But that backup goaltending situation, if Demko, and even if Demko comes back, like, they're not going to bring him back until he is 100% healthy. Because this happens all the time with him, right? So I don't know this based on any insider. I haven't read anything about this. This isn't anybody else saying this except for me. I don't think he comes back in 2024. Like, I think we see him in 2025. Just because, and that I'm talking about like January onward. Because you're not bringing him back until from 1,000 doctors across the globe, from Vancouver to Dubai, like, this guy is 100% healthy. You know what I mean? That's my opinion. But Shelovs, dude's got to figure it out because it's tough right now.
She loves me not.
She loves me not.
She loves me not right now.
That's exactly what I'm saying. That was low hanging fruit, and I completely missed it. All right, 7 games to get into. 7 games to get into from the NHL tonight. But before we do, a quick little game. All right. Now, I told you that we were playing a game, but I didn't tell you what it was. It's Halloween. which personally, like, I'm sorry if this offends people. I do not care at all about Halloween, but that's fine. If you do, have a great time. Let's play a little game called very creatively Trick or Treat. Huh? Thought
Okay.
about that all
Okay.
night. It kept me up.
Nice.
Kept me up. I couldn't think of a name, and it dawned on me. Trick or treat. Which teams that weren't supposed to be good have been good, or which teams that we weren't sure if they were going to be good have been good? Are they a trick? Or are they a treat? I think it's pretty self-explanatory. Let's go down the list here. Number one, just because I love this story so much, I'll give you the playoff odds too. The odds for this team to make it to the playoffs, courtesy of FanDuel, plus 1,400.
Okay.
This team is 5-3-1. They have 11 points in the Metro. The Columbus Blue Jackets. Trick or treat? Now, plus 1,400 to make the playoffs. I guess, like, treat doesn't necessarily mean they'll make it to the playoffs, but treat is like, is this team going to be relevant in March? Trick or treat? Columbus Blue Jackets.
They're an interesting one because I feel like, especially late 2010s-ish, this is exactly what Columbus would do. They would suck for a stretch. You'd expect them to just continue to suck. Then they'd randomly just be a wild card team. They'd randomly just, put together a good season. And when you talk about this year's team, they have motivation to keep it going for sure, unfortunately. And they have kind of a gift in front of them, and that's the fact that 3 of the teams in their division that were supposed to be better than them and legitimately in wildcard contention are looking really bad, and the rest of the Atlantic outside of the top 3, it's a crapshoot right now. It's a mosh pit. I don't know if I'd take them to make the playoffs, but I'm going to say treat here. They're going to be in contention for a while.
Yeah, I think I'm right there with you, man. And like the additions that they did make in the offseason, and of course we all know the tragedy that took place in the summer, but like Sean Monahan's played really well so far for them. They got a really good mix on the back end of young and old, and they're doing their thing. Whereas Lincoln's, this guy, like, really good, obviously shutout performance. He's been pretty good this year. Will he continue? I don't know. Who knows? But I'm going to say treat as well, man. And I think, and I'm not trying to be disrespectful. This is just how I felt about it. I know kind of the debate was, with what happened to Johnny Gaudreau, they're going to, like do this for Johnny and they're going to whatever. I didn't feel that way. I just felt like it was such a heavy thing. They're keeping his jersey in the locker room all year long, the empty stall. They had another teammate lose their life just 2 off seasons ago. It just felt like a lot. And I'll tell you what, man, they're doing it for Johnny, and it's really impressive. And I would love to see it going. I've been to Columbus quite a bit. Some of the best chicken wings I've ever had have been in Columbus, which is random, but it's true. Yeah, I can't explain it. It's a college town. They love their chicken wings there, But but I have no love or hate towards Columbus. I have no feelings one way or the other. I would just love to see this story going for as long as possible. All right.
Real quick question just on that. Was it wings over Chad in Columbus?
I don't remember, dude. I don't remember. It was some like hole in the wall takeout place that like it didn't look like it would be good, but it was. I can't remember.
I know a lot of college towns have wings over. I know the one in Stores was amazing. The one in State College, talking about Penn State, was also really good. So just curious.
Yeah, no, I don't remember. I just remember there was no real it was like a takeout spot. So there was like a little bar with like a couple like stools, but there was no seats. It was just a hole in the wall. And and it was delicious. What can I say? All right, trick or treat. This team, they drive me insane. They're 5-4-0 right now. 10 points, fourth in the Atlantic, 1 point up on everybody else in the Atlantic, Buffalo, Detroit, Montreal, and Boston. This team is minus 115 to make it to the playoffs.
Interesting. Okay.
The Ottawa Senators. Trick or treat?
You didn't have to tell me it was the Senators. I knew it like instantly.
Yeah,
just
they
like
drive me insane.
Yeah. No, I'm taking a huge trick here. On the one hand, you expect Marc and just the goals against average to go down, maybe, right? They're 23rd right now, 3.44 per game. Seems like they should be better based on what they did this offseason and who they want to be. At the same time, they're not going to score at this rate forever.
Yeah.
That's going to go down, and that's kind of been keeping them afloat right now, 4.22 goals per game. So it's there. The power play, though, it's 42.9%, not sustainable. Offense is going to stumble. They're going to bumble. They're kind of letting slip their strong offensive start now. And even then, let's say they keep this style of play up. That's not really a sustainable style. We see it all the time. Teams like that lose games they shouldn't too often because, okay, you're scoring 4 goals, but then you let up 6. So I'm going to take trick here.
I think so too, man. I would love for them to be a treat. If you watch this show at all, you've heard me talk about Ottawa 1,000 times, so I won't dig too deep into it. I just think the only difference between this year and last year so far is they've won more games. And I know that sounds like a big difference. Obviously, winning is important, clearly. But my point is they look the same. Like, yeah, there's things like a bit better defensively. If Allmark can stay healthy, they have a much better goaltender. But this constantly give and take, like they're taking a lot of goals, they're scoring a lot of goals, and they're giving up a lot. Like they're just constant kind of, I don't know. It's hard for me. I want to say treat, but for right now, I'm with you on trick. The more I go through this list, the more I realize there's like half of we could literally not do a preview and just play this game for like the next 40 minutes. Like half the league is under question right now. Like I'm thinking, like the Anaheim Ducks, good start to the season. Dostal has played really well. Trick or treat, that one's really interesting. I think I guess Washington Capitals, but they're a treat. I think we all are kind of buying into this team right now. Buffalo Sabres. There's quite a few teams that you could do. Utah is a good one. St. Louis is a good one. But we're going to do 2 that were supposed to be treats. And let's see what happens moving forward. The first one, we'll just do 2 more and then we'll get into the previews for tonight. 3-5-1 in the Central Division, 7 points. Signing Stamkos, signing Marchessault, signing Shea. All this offseason hype, and it has looked pedestrian at best. The Nashville Predators, trick or treat?
If I say trick here, I think their start is a trick, or I think their playoff odds are a trick. Just making sure I'm clear here.
Like, do you think that they are a trick? Like, do you think that they are going to get it together and be a good team?
I still do. I think
Yeah.
they're going to get together. I still think they're going to be a good team. I'm not giving up hope yet, and it really helps that the rest of the division is catchable. Utah, St. Louis are 2 of the teams ahead of them. Not impressive. Those are 2 teams they could pass within a week and wouldn't shock me at all. The Avalanche are struggling a lot right now. The Wild are playing well. I think the Wild are going to be good and in playoff contention. I thought that going into the season. At the same time, .778 points percentage. I don't think that's the team they are. So if you're looking at the Central and I guess West in general and saying there are 3 open spots for the Nashville to take, Winnipeg and Dallas are penciled in 1 and 2. I don't see a reason why they can't be one of those teams. I still have hope that there's better days for this Predator squad. There's talent there. The coaching's there. They had a great run last year, and I know there's some new parts, but there's grit and tenacity there. And they started slow last year as well. So
yeah,
get denied from a concert, get it together, stop driving into banana peels, and you're good to go.
That's right. No, they got to do the opposite. They got to go to a concert. The opposite worked last year. Now try something different and go to a concert and bond. You're in Nashville. There's a concert like probably right now. Go, get it done. I really like the point you made that the one saving grace, not one, there are others, but the big saving grace for me for Nashville is that Colorado started poorly as well. Because I do think that Minnesota is going to come back down to the mean. I agree with you. I think Minnesota is a good team. I think they will be in playoff contention. I'm not saying anything about them. Just they're 6-1-2 right now. Like that's not going to be sustainable for them more than likely. So the fact that the team that they really have to worry about getting away from them is the last team, right? Because you're more than likely you're not going to catch Winnipeg. You're not going to catch Dallas. More than likely. I know it's a long season, blah, 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 but I'm just saying. But Colorado's only 3 points ahead of you. So Colorado's going to get better. Colorado's going to find their way into the playoffs, you would think. So I'm with you. I will say, though, watching this team not being able to finish, I really am borderlining on the season from hell for this team. Like, I'm getting close to that. Like, they just made so many big changes, and this is just not going to be their year. And I know it's November tomorrow, and we got lots of time left, but it just feels, I don't know, something about it just feels off, and we'll see what happens. You know what? We're going to leave it there. We're half an hour in. That's my little game, trick or treat. The last one I wanted to ask you, though, and I'm just going to throw this out there. We can talk about this another day because this team does play tonight. So depending on the outcome of tonight's game, we can talk. Actually, they play the team that we just talked about. We can talk about this tomorrow. The Edmonton Oilers.
Oh, Lord.
Trick or treat, right? We'll have this conversation tomorrow. We'll come back to it.
Oh, Lord.
They are 4-5-1, 9 points. We saw this dance last year. It was worse last year. We saw this last year, though. Connor McDavid's out for the next 2 to 3 weeks. I don't know. Like, I'm not saying they're going to miss the playoffs. That's not what I'm saying. But what I am saying is FanDuel is protecting themselves here right now because they are minus 650 to make it to the playoffs. And I do not think that they're minus 650 to make it. I think they'll make it, but minus 650, I don't know, man. I don't know. So that's a conversation that we can have tomorrow.
Yeah.
Moving on to tonight's games. Sorry, go ahead.
Been a lot. I said the Oilers would have been a lot of conversation, so it's good stuff.
Yeah. Listen, bro, this is our show, but I had to make the executive decision. 7 games on a Wednesday night or Thursday night, man. Which is actually not that many for a Thursday night. But anyway, let's get started. Also, before we do, just a shout out to Jordan. Just like our betting advice, Cole didn't cover first. That's going back to the Yankees conversation. Speak for yourselves, bro. Or speak for yourself, unless there are multiple of you. That's a whole other thing. But speak for yourself, man, because Andre and I hit like 70% every night, which is a number I literally made up in my head, but it sounds good. And that's pretty good, man. 7 out of 10. That's not bad.
I like those
All right.
numbers.
Yeah, I like it. Love it. I have no idea if that's accurate or not, but I'm here for it. Here we go. Boston in Carolina. Carolina minus 178. This is another team in the Boston Bruins that we could do a little trick or treat in because It's not looking good right now for the Bees. Plus 146 on the road, plus 1.5 for the Bruins is minus 176, minus 1.5 for the Hurricanes, plus 142. The over's 5.5 at minus 140, and the under is plus 114. What do you got, man? Boston, Carolina.
Boston's becoming one of those teams. I don't know what to make of them, like on
Yeah.
a night-to-night basis, and it makes it tricky. What I do know is that Carolina is playing well again. Carolina's playing like Carolina, and even though it might sound like a Bruins home game tonight, it's not going to matter. The Canes, they've won 6 of 7, 4 in a row. They are back to being the regular season juggernauts we know them to be, and they're back home after a 6-game road trip. So they did most of that away from their fans, away from their homes, their spouses, whatever. So returning home, the offense is clicking. They scored 3+ in all 7 of those games, and most of them, right, were 4-goal games. They'll be fine. The Bruins, maybe they'll be that other team tonight, but for the most part, they've been pretty lifeless offensively. They're averaging fewer than 3 goals per game, and that's the main issue. If you want to play a low-scoring game, which the Bruins aren't really doing either, they're giving up 3.5 goals per game. But if they want to make it a low-scoring game, Carolina has no problem with that. Carolina thrives in that condition. The point being, this is a tailor-made win for the Hurricanes, especially since they're finally back home. Got a few days off. I like them not only to win, I like the puck line here, that minus 1.5 at plus 140.
Sorry, full disclosure. My wife's Facebook is hooked up to my laptop for some reason, and I'm just getting bombarded with messages, and I have no idea what's happening over here. But what I will say is, I said it off the top of the season, and I know the numbers might not look that bad. Jeremy Swayman's 3-3-1, a 2.97 goals against, a 900 save percentage, even 900. I don't trust what I'm seeing from him right now, and I knew that this would happen after not playing in training camp. He was signed. Was he signed like the week the season started, or like just before the season started?
Yeah.
I just don't trust it right now. And that kind of contradicts what I'm about to say. I kind of like the under here. It's 5.5 on FanDuel. It's plus 114. Carolina's been scoring a lot on the road, like you said. They're at home now. This feels like a 3-1 game, maybe 4-1, maybe 3-2. I don't necessarily love the puck line for Carolina, and I don't obviously love the minus 178. These odds do seem really extreme, but I think this just shows you what kind of a bad place Boston's in right now. I don't have too much to add from what you said. I'm right there with you. I'm taking Carolina all day long, but for some reason, I'm kind of leaning on the under. The over is a logical play. I'm not going to discourage the over. There's just something telling me, because Boston does, like, they're due for a good defensive game. They're not a bad defensive team. They're just off their game right now. And I just feel like we are going to see a more disciplined team. We will see what happens. So I'm taking Carolina, but I don't really love any of the odds, and I'll take the under.
If it makes you feel better, I'm also leaning towards the under. So
yeah. That's kind of where I'm at with that one. All right, moving on to the Toronto Maple Leafs back home after a short road trip facing the Seattle Kraken. Seattle, fresh off of just destroying, who was it, Montreal? It's Montreal, right? 8-2 the other night. They are now in Toronto. Montreal's a wild city, and as a Leaf fan, here's the hoping that Montreal got the best of the Kraken over the last couple of days. They are in Toronto now. Toronto, minus 205 favorites. Seattle's plus 168 on the road. Minus 1.5 for Toronto's plus 118. plus 1.5. For the Kraken is minus 144. Over is 6.5 plus 114. The under is minus 140. These odds seem wacky to me, man. What do you make of it? What do you got in this game?
I mean, Vegas loves your boys, and I can't blame them.
I guess.
And maybe, Montreal is a fun city. Maybe they did get caught up in it a little bit. I
Yeah.
doubt it, though. Seattle's
It'll
like
get
a
you.
professional.
Yeah, Montreal will
Listen.
get you.
It will get you.
Yeah.
I will say for the Kraken, though, they've looked good on the road this season, especially offensively. Obviously, it helps that they scored 8 goals last time out. That was their first road game in a while because they had a nice long homestand. But before that, they'd scored 7 in Nashville and 5 in Minnesota. They're finding the back of the net in these away games. So that's a pretty encouraging sign. We talked earlier about a team that can't win on the road. This is a team that's winning on the road because of their offense, 3-1-0. So right off the bat, I like that. And I like the over because Toronto, they're playing pretty well, right? We both think they look pretty good. Maybe the record's not the shiniest, but they're solid defensively. You know what the offense and the power play are. They're at home. They're going to score, at least 3 goals, you'd have to imagine. It's who the Maple Leafs are. It's who they had that little 2-game rut against Columbus and St. Louis, but otherwise it's been a pretty consistent stream of 3, 4, 5, 6 goals this season, right? Over for sure. And picking a side's kind of tricky for me in this one because I don't know who Seattle's going to be, which version is going to show up. Maybe this is who they are on the road, or maybe they're just due for regression. I think the Leafs are better, and just ignoring everything, I would take the puck line instinctively, but knowing what Seattle's done on the road, I'm just going to stick with the over because their offense is showing up and Toronto's can very easily match and be better.
Yeah, I'm interested in this game. I really am. The goaltending matchup in particular, I'm really curious about. Joey Decord, according to Daily Faceoff, let me just double check this here. Joey Decord is likely to start as of noon EST. He was likely to start on Daily Faceoff. Joseph Woll is confirmed to get the start for Toronto. And in his first game of the year, after being injured for the first week and a bit, it didn't go well. It didn't go well. In his one start, he has 4.08 goals against, 846 save percentage. Did not go well against the St. Louis Blues last week. So I'm interested in that. Joey Decord, on the other hand, 4-1-1, 2.8 GAA, 914 save percentage. He's been picking up where he left off from last year. I think Toronto should be able to win this game minus 1.5. I think they are the better team. Those odds again, plus 118 at FanDuel. They are the better team. They have the better firepower. They should win this game by minus 1.5. The thing that's making me nervous about that is they're hot cold, man. Like they had the game of their life last Monday, another great game this past Monday. Sandwiched in the middle of all that was 3 awful games. The game against Boston wasn't awful, but not great. So I'm curious to see what we have now. They haven't played since Monday, 3 days of rest. We'll see what happens. The other part of it too for Toronto, and this is just like watching all these games. Seattle's power play, it's okay statistically, right? They're 21.9%, literally middle of the pack. Toronto's penalty kill, middle of the pack. Toronto is taking a ton of penalties. Like they're taking like 3, 4, 5 penalties like every night. And they got to knock it off. They're not going to beat teams consistently with the amount of penalties that they're taking. They're just not. What they did not do when the rookie Dennis Hildeby was in net, and what they did not do when Joseph Wall was in net for his first game of the year, was play sound, disciplined defensive hockey. And they have to do that tonight. They have to. This guy's playing, he's starting the second game of the year. He barely played training camp. You gotta lock it in defensively tonight. Also, speaking of defense, Battle of the Tanevs. Chris Tanev and his brother Brandon. I believe it's Brandon. So that's interesting. And also the Leafs traded a defenseman who's only played one game for them. So it really doesn't matter at all. Timothy Liljegren traded last night to San Jose. How would you like to get traded to San Jose, by the way? Like, you're on a team in the Toronto Maple Leafs that's going to make it to the playoffs with relative ease, more than likely, and you get traded to San Jose. That's tough. But anyway, that's what I got. I like the over as well, especially at plus money. And I do like the Leafs minus 1.5, but proceed with caution. The one prop for this game that I will throw out there, and I've been nailing my goal scoring props for the Leafs the last little bit.
You have.
Matthew Knies is plus 300 to score. He leads the team with 5 goals right now. He's plus 300. He's scoring almost every night. So I love me some Matthew Knies to score tonight. All right, moving on. Montreal. The aforementioned Montreal lost badly, and these odds are the exact same as the Seattle and Toronto odds. Montreal plus 168 on the road. Washington minus 205. Plus 1.5 for Montreal is minus 114. Minus 1.5 for Washington's plus 118. The over is 6.5 at minus 108. And the under is minus 112. Andre, what do you got, man? Montreal and Washington.
I'm going to give Washington their flowers and their respect they deserve at this point. They've been incredible, consistently scoring. Last year, the defense, the goaltending was solid. It's been pretty much the same this year. They deserve respect, and they're going to get it here. Minus 1.5 for the Capitals at home. And I know we tend to be high on the Canadians. They are feisty, scrappy, whatever you want to call it. At the same time, they've lost 5 of 7. 4 of those losses were by multiple goals. Just 2 games before that, they lost 6-4 to Boston. They are 4-5-1. At some point, the record has to be what we look at, and not the potential, and not the how much they fight.
Yeah, that's fair. I'm with you. I do think Washington wins this game. I'll probably stay away from the puck line. Only reason being, and I do also like, this is just based on memory. You can correct me if I'm wrong, but doesn't it feel like every Washington game, the total is 5.5? It feels like that's the total every game. And today's total, at least on FanDuel, is 6.5. And I'm taking the under at minus 112. I do think Washington wins. I think Washington's the better team pretty clearly. But Montreal got embarrassed the other night. And I do feel like we're going to see a more defensive, disciplined game. Caden Primo looks to be starting in net for the Canadians tonight. And I feel like he didn't play the other night. But I just feel like the defense for Montreal is just going to be a lot more disciplined than they were the other night. When you get embarrassed 8-2, rarely do we see a team go out the next night and get embarrassed again, unless you're Toronto. Last week, that's a whole other thing. So I like the under here. I like the minus 112 under 6.5. That's my favorite bet in this game. I think we get a close game, 3-2, maybe 4-2. Maybe 2-1. I don't know, but I do really like the under in this one. And also, win or lose, and I know this kind of contradicts the under, but Cole Caulfield plus 190 to score. He is second or third right now in the NHL in scoring. So I like Cole Caulfield at plus 190. Moving on to a game that I have no idea what to do with. The St. Louis Blues plus 112 in Philly at minus 146. What did I say? St. Louis Blues plus 122. What did I say? I don't know. Whatever. St. Louis Blues plus 122. Philadelphia minus 146. Plus 1.5 for the Blues is minus 215. Minus 1.5 for the Flyers is plus 172. The over is 5.5 at minus 122, and the under is plus 100. Andre, what do you got?
I'm glad you said it because I also have no idea what to do with this game. Just a weird matchup. The Flyers were allowing the most goals per game before they played the Bruins. We said, yeah, they're done. And then they 2-0 shutout win, you know? They've been struggling all year, but that's who we expected them to be. Tough defensively. We expected them to be better defensively, and it didn't happen until yesterday. Before then, they were getting killed. The Blues got off to a solid start, better than one of us expected for sure. They've promptly lost their last two games by a combined score of 13 to 3. Their PK, 29th in the league, one of the worst. Their shooting percentage, 9.7, is 25th. They have the record. They're 5-5, but they're 21st in goals against. Look at the scoring; they're 27th. It's kind of a miracle that they're 5-5. And I know the Flyers have been just as inconsistent and struggling and whatever. When they have a good offensive day, the defense falls apart. When they have a good defensive day, they can't score a goal. That's how it's been for them this season. I think they're the better team, and they are at home for this one. They finally, against the Wild, not only got the home win out of the way, but they scored, multiple goals, and they did it again against Montreal, even though they lost. Flyers are going to win this one. You couldn't pay me enough money in the world to take a total because I don't know what to expect from either team. But the Flyers, I think, are going to win this one. I don't know if I trust them enough to take the 60-minute line. So maybe if you want to bet on this game, put it in a parlay, that minus 146.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. Exactly the same. I like St. Louis. I do think they're going to be better than what we've seen as the season goes on. But right now, you can't trust it, man. Their goal scoring has evaporated. Jordan Kyrou's been nowhere to be found offensively. Jordan Binnington, who knows what you're getting from that guy night to night. And I'm with you on that total, man. Ersson had a great game. He got shut out the other night, but that's not what we've seen from the Flyers goaltending at all this year. So as far as the over or the under goes, I have no idea. My first glance is under. That's my first thought, just because I do think both of these teams are really, really trying to dial it in. But with the under 5.5, that's too low, and I'm not going to take an alternate there. So I'm right there with you, man. I got nothing to add on this game. The Flyers, we just don't really know what they are yet. Are they still rebuilding? Are they competitive? I don't think we really have a clue. If anything, St. Louis, I would expect more to bounce back tonight and to have themselves a night, because they have been awful in the last week. Once again, except for against Toronto, of course. So St. Louis plus 122, it's a risk, but I would hope that this team would bounce back. But there's really nothing betting wise that I like as far as taking a side goes. All right, moving on. We didn't talk about the Ducks in the trick or treat, but we easily could have. The Pittsburgh Penguins, I didn't put in there on purpose because they're a trick. It's just not cool. And they're favored minus 176. I know it's at home, but I don't know. the Ducks plus 146 on the road, I'll, jump to the punchline. Okay, sure. I will fall for it. Anaheim plus 146, minus 1.5 for the Pittsburgh Penguins, plus 138, plus 1.5 for Anaheim, minus 170. The over is 6.5 at minus 104, and the under is minus 118. Andre, what am I missing here, man? What do you got in this game?
We covered a game that it's not the same exact game, but it's pretty much a spitting image yesterday. It was Blue Jackets versus Islanders. Vegas was wrong, and they had to favor the Islanders. It makes sense. At the same time, it was the wrong thing to do, and we took advantage of it. We got the plus money line. It hit pretty easily. Same thing's going to happen tonight. And it's not only because the Penguins have now lost 6 in a row. Yikes. But Anaheim does this thing where they don't let other teams score, and they're doing it pretty well. They've played 9 times. They have held their opponent to 3 or fewer goals in 5 of them, whereas the Penguins have allowed every single team to score 3 or more goals. In fact, they've only held 2 teams in their 11 games below 4 goals. So if you're going to spot Anaheim 3 goals or 4 goals, as the Penguins have been doing every single night,
Yes.
you're going to lose. The Ducks are playing good defensive hockey. They're getting good goaltending. They're allowing the 6th fewest goals per game. And that's with a meh penalty kill. They're at 75% right now. This should be a Ducks win.
I agree with
Seems
you,
pretty
man.
simple.
And I mean, listen, man, Lucas Dostal, I've talked about this guy a lot. He had a pretty good year last year, except for when he was on my fantasy team. And so far this year, man, the kid's playing great. 4-2-1, 2 even goals against, 943 save percentage, 1 shutout, which was the other night, I believe. Or no, he allowed 1 the other night. But regardless, he's been playing really, really well. When John Gibson gets healthy, which I'm hearing, and when I say I'm hearing, I mean by podcasts and radio shows that I listen to, I'm hearing that he is going to be back in the next little bit here within the next week or so. I think that the Ducks have a real goalie controversy. How can you not give this kid the bulk of the starts right now? John Gibson hasn't played overly well when he's been healthy over the last little bit. Now, granted, Anaheim hasn't had a very strong team in front of him, but I really like what I'm seeing from this Ducks team right now, man. I think they're playing really well. I know it's the New York Islanders, but they go to Long Island. They win 3-1. Ho-hum. They're going over to Pittsburgh. You're giving me plus money to take a Ducks team. Really like that they brought back the old logo. Hate what they've done with the jerseys. That's another conversation. But listen, man, the Pittsburgh Penguins, they're a gas can right now. Their goaltending is subpar at best. And it's not even, honestly, dude, Tristan Jarry, that was a whole other conundrum at the beginning of the year, but it's not even really their goaltending, man. Their defense is just awful. Their defense is just giving up the highest quality chances in the league. That's based on my opinion from watching these games. That's not stat or whatever. So I'll take Anaheim here. Absolutely. Plus 146. Frank Vetrano, your guy, Frank Vetrano, finally got off the schneid, as they say, scored a goal the other night. It was an empty netter, but you know what, man? They don't ask how, right? He is plus 250 to score tonight. So maybe that, that goal the other night sparked something in him. He is plus 250, and I do expect, regardless of what you think of this team, I do expect Sidney Crosby to start pulling his weight more here. It's been a tough start, not just for the team, but for him as well. He's plus 145 to get a goal tonight. I really think he starts putting some pucks in the net here really soon. All right. Potentially, I mean, if you asked me in September, on October 31st, what would the game of the night be? It would by far and away be this game. Now, is it this game? I don't know. But Edmonton, without Connor McDavid, plus 108. Yeah, that's in Nashville. Nashville is minus 130 at home. Minus 1.5 for the Predators is plus 186. Plus 1.5 for the Oilers is minus 235. The over is 6.5 at plus 104. And the under is minus 128. What do you got? Oilers, Predators.
Yeah, the Preds 4-game point streak. They're back home. Good for them. Only really played. I guess I don't know what to classify Columbus as, but played 2 good teams for sure during this point streak. Maybe a third if you think Columbus is firmly good. Edmonton. Well, Columbus made Edmonton look bad last time the Oilers were on the ice. 6-1 loss there. They haven't really found their footing. They opened with 3 straight losses. 1-2, lost 2, 1-2. Are they about to lose 2 more? Or I guess lose again, though, and make it 2 in a row. I don't know. What I do know and what I do expect is that whoever is up in this game will blow it and it will go to overtime. I see this being like a 4-2 game in the third period. Whoever's leading lets the other team tie it. It goes to overtime. I think 3-on-3, I'm going to take the Oilers. So plus 110 is what I have Edmonton right now. I'll take it. Definitely taking that over 6 at minus 122. I expect overtime. I expect shenanigans tonight. I don't trust either of these teams right now.
I love that bet, dude. Plus 350 to go to overtime on FanDuel. I love that. I think that's absolutely what's going to happen here. I don't know, dude. What I'm interested in seeing without McDavid, because quite frankly, I know that he has 10 points, but he hasn't really played overly well according to his standards anyway. So far this year, he's not there. Who is going to go into superhero mode? And it has to be Leon Draisaitl, number 1. Nugent Hopkins hasn't done much of anything so far this year. Zach Hyman, 1 point. He at some point has to get going here. I wonder, I hadn't checked this before. Yeah, his odds are finally starting to reflect the way he's been contributing. He's plus 165 to score tonight. I was listening to the Oilers play-by-play guy on the radio this morning, and he was saying that the way Zach Hyman's been playing, he's been getting chances. He's trending in the direction of scoring. He just got really lucky last year. A lot of pucks bounced off of him, or tip drills in front of the net, and that hasn't really happened so far this year. I guess so, but just watching the Oilers, man, they just don't look engaged right now, and they're just searching for something. They're playing a team who's almost in the exact same situation they are. Like the Nashville Predators are looking for something almost the exact same. I think Nashville wins this game tonight. -1, it was minus 130, minus 128 now. I think Nashville wins this game. I don't know how much this actually matters or whatever. Just from a human being standpoint, I kind of get the feeling that Tuesday night that was Tuesday, right? Or Monday in Tampa Bay. I feel like that was a really, really big moment for Stamkos that he kind of had circled on his calendar the whole start to the season. Now that that's out of the way, I feel like we're about to see Steven Stamkos and this Nashville team go off. I don't know. I feel like that was just something that, and again, this is all speculation, but hey, I also, they're at home. They were down 2-0 to Tampa Bay in Tampa Bay, came back, tied it up, went to overtime. I just think Nashville, one of these nights, they're at home. They got to start cooking here. And they have to start doing it soon. I'm taking Nashville minus 128. I do think Edmonton in the long run will figure it out without Connor McDavid, but I think the first game without him, it's going to take some time. And I think Nashville wins this game tonight, minus 128. As far as the total goes, I will lean under here at minus 128. But I'm not overly confident about the total. All right. Before we move on to the last game of the night, I just need to double check with my guy Andre. Am I frozen on the screen?
Yeah.
I am. Okay.
Yeah.
That's wonderful. Absolutely great. I am not getting camera luck at all this week, but it's no big deal. One more game to get to. The Chicago Blackhawks are in San Jose to take on the red hot San Jose Sharks. The Chicago Blackhawks minus 152 favorites in San Jose. The Sharks plus 126 at home. Minus 1.5 for the Blackhawks is plus 160. Plus 1.5 for the Sharks is minus 200. The over is 6.5 at plus 110, and the under is minus 134. What are you thinking here, man?
This is a really generous line for the Blackhawks.
I agree.
I know they just went to Denver and came out with a 5-2 win, but they're not scoring like that. They had a 4-game losing streak before that, and I mean, they're also not good. So I guess maybe the recent win, the higher expectations coming into the season, the 5-game winning streak over San Jose is why they're favored, and I can see that. I can understand that. But I'm going to stick with the hot hand here. 2 wins in a row for the Baby Sharks. I like it to be 3 because Chicago's not Utah and Chicago's not LA. As much as we like to rag on those teams, and the Sharks, you know, once you get that first taste of blood, once you win that first time, oh, I like this feeling. Let's keep it going. Let's do what we did last time out, right? Stacks of wins. This is a winnable game for them. They don't get many of those, you would imagine. So San Jose plus 130 at home. Lock it in. As far as the total, it's kind of tricky when you have teams that aren't good at really anything. I would lean towards the under, but again, San Jose, 4 goals last time out, 5 goals the game before that, 3 goals the game before that. Chicago, 5 goals in their last game. This could easily also go over the total. So just staying away from that. I'm just going to lean on the Sharks.
Yeah, this is a dangerous game for me because it's at 10:40 at night. The second last game in the evening is on at 8:10. So this is a classic. Oh, the Sharks are plus money. Okay. The over is plus money. Okay. Like this is kind of classic here. But I'll say this. You said, first, you called them the Baby Sharks. And my wife and I were just having this conversation the other day. Happy birthday to my wife, by the way. Shout out Halloween birthday. Perfect that a birthday is on Halloween, so I have something to remind me of birthdays. I don't have to try to figure it out on the fly. But I don't know if any other dudes are like me, but remembering things doesn't happen. Anyway, we're having the conversation. I'm so glad that my son doesn't listen to Baby Shark anymore. I feel like I listened to that song 20 times a day for a year and a half, and I'm just so glad that I don't have to deal with it. Listen, the Sharks did not just beat the Kings. The Sharks played a really good game the other night against the Kings. Like, that was a good hockey game.
Yeah.
They did not play well against Utah. The last 5 minutes, Utah's heads fell off their body, and San Jose was able to capitalize and win the game. By the time that game went to overtime, Utah was just so defeated that you knew that it was a matter of time before San Jose won that hockey game. But that game against the Kings was not a fluke. Like, I don't really like the Kings. I didn't think they played that great, but the Sharks played really well. Chicago, they got good players. They got people that can score. But do you also like minus 152? Like they have no business being this big of favorites. Now they could easily like this really is like a pick 'em, no? Like this game is minus 110, minus 110. Like this game is like any one of these two teams could win this game tonight. But if you're giving me Sharks plus 126, I am all over it. Much like I will be on for every single Sharks game for the rest of the season. Tyler Toffoli plus 185 to score. Hit for me the other night. It's going to hit for me again tonight. All right, moving on to our best bets brought to you by the one, the only First Round Collectibles. Right now, using our promo code SportsAddict, get 10% off whatever card you want in the entire First Round Collectibles store. They have an ongoing sale up to 50% off dozens of sports cards. And with our promo code SportsAddict, not only do you get 10% off of regular priced items, but sales items as well. Go to firstroundcollectibles.com today. Use promo code SportsAddict for 10% off your order. First Round Collectibles, sports cards for sports fans. Andre, what do you got, man? Best bets.
I'm following the same strategy I did yesterday. I'm just picking on an incorrect favorite here. The Pittsburgh Penguins, they don't deserve to be favorites, let alone minus. I have 185 right now.
Oof.
No, they've lost 6 in a row. They're allowing the most goals per game. They're facing a Ducks team that has held 3 of their last 4 opponents to 2 or fewer goals. One of those was the Rangers, one of the best offenses in the league on the road. The Ducks are playing well. The Ducks are allowing 6 field goals per game. The Ducks, it's not really a fluke. At least it doesn't feel like it right now. If you spot them, I said it earlier, if you spot them 3 or 4 goals, there's no reason to think the Penguins won't, because they've been doing it all year, regardless of the opponent. The Ducks are going to take that and run with it and win. Plus 154, I love it. I'm locking it in.
Yeah, I love that too. It's funny, dude. You were just talking about the same trend from last night. We didn't even talk about both of our best bets hit last night, and our family play was the over 6.5 in New Jersey, Vancouver. And Vancouver couldn't get one goal to give us that over and hit our first parlay of the year. That's just, so maddening. Yeah, man, listen, for me, honestly, like, I'm having a hard time looking at any of these bets and really, I'm kind of going to go, I think I'm going to go same game here, bro. I think I'm going to take the over 6.5. Penguins Ducks. I think Dostal's played good, but he can give up, 2, maybe 3. And the Penguins are going to give up 4 at least. So I'll take the over 6.5 in Ducks and Sharks all day, or Ducks and Penguins. The Ducks would never beat the Sharks, although I think they did recently. But anyway,
we don't talk about.
So yeah, I'll take over 6.5. Ducks Penguins minus 104.
I love it. We have 2 low-hanging fruits this year, especially if you're talking about betting the over. Penguins and Avalanche.
Yeah.
It's really been kind of us a month long. I guess the season's a month old at this point, but family play. What are you liking?
I don't know, man. To be quite honest.
Okay.
What are we thinking?
I do.
Sharks?
You were thinking Sharks. Interesting. I mean, that's low. You want to just make a nice just Cali parlay? I'm sorry. I know San Jose is not Southern California. Don't kill me, internet.
Why? What are you thinking?
It's nice and thematic. I was between over 6 in Toronto or over 6 in Nashville, but I do like the theme. Just keeping it Cali tonight.
Yeah.
It fits.
Yeah, let's keep it Cali. Plus 128 for me anyway. San Jose. my thought process here is in either of those games, like Seattle, Toronto, or Nashville, Edmonton, all four goaltenders that are involved in those games have the ability to show out. Like Joey Decor can have a great game. Joseph Wall can have a great game. Stuart Skinner can have a great game. Even Pickard, if he's in the net, he can have a good game. And obviously UC Saros, he can have a good game. Chicago, San Jose, I think it's a free for all. So I'll take San Jose here.
I love it. I think I have better odds than you because my Sharks are plus 136. So my parlay is plus 1091.
Yeah. Yeah, you do, because your Ducks are what, plus 154, you said?
Yeah. And I have the over 6.5 and minus 102.
Yeah, so I have plus 146 for Anaheim, minus 104 for the over in that game, and plus 128 for the Sharks. So I'm at plus 953 on FanDuel.
There you go. A rare win for DK. It's looking like FanDuel have been kind of on a run lately. Sharks did just go down to plus 130, but I'm still at plus 1061.
Love it. Absolutely love it. Well, everybody, thank you so much for joining us today. We appreciate it. If you're doing whatever you do for Halloween, be safe. If you're with your kids or you're out, partying in a weird costume, be safe, do your thing, and come back and see us tomorrow as we break down everything in the NHL on Thursday and get you set up for Friday night. Shout out First Round Collectibles, promo code SportsAddict, 10% off, and shout out to Total Apex Sports. See you tomorrow.